to celebrate. It's a very merry anniversary, you know. Maharaj is coming since last 26 years. He came when Darshan was born on his 21st for coming. So, Mataji, thank you for coming. Sangita Mataji, Mahamudra Prabhu, and we have some newcomers here. Some of his disciples are here too. We have the most new disciple. What's your forgot your name?
Anuttara Radhika Devi Dasi.
Anuttara Radhika Devi Dasi. She took initiation last year.
Last year, yeah. During Rath Yatra, New York Rath Yatra.
So during this time, almost
Yeah,
during this time.
yeah.
On the New York Rath Yatra day.
On the New York Rath Yatra day, yeah.
Right. Wow. And then we have Golokapriya Mataji. Golokananda Priya.
She was in North Carolina for a long time.
Yeah, she was in North Carolina.
Yeah. And then we have my younger one, Adishesh, also his disciple. So Maharaj, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
And Maharaj is also a musician, just like Sukada Prabhu.
No.
I heard today Sukada Prabhu also used to have, the guitar.
You used to play guitar?
When I first came to join the temple, I went to, I thought it was at 61 Second Avenue.
Yeah.
So I took a taxi there, I spent my last money. And the only thing I had was my guitar.
Really?
And I was walking around the East Village and some guy said, "Hey, you're not from New York, are you?" I said, "Oh, you probably need a place to come with me." So he walked down and he grabbed the guitar. He said, "I'll smash this over your head unless you give it to me." Okay. That was the last guitar. Just before I joined Hare Krishna. That was the last guitar. So.
Oh my God, you stole it.
Yeah.
It was robbed. Stolen, robbed.
Last attempt.
Yeah.
That's New York.
You probably still play it. All right, so what happens? Should we have a kirtan or?
Yeah, well, everybody can hear your kirtan with the guitar. Maharaj also plays very good guitar.
Not very good. Not very good.
This is Balabhadra Prabhu's guitar.
Basic guitar.
Yeah.
Basic guitar.
Yeah.
We'll play sitting now. You can turn it all the way up.
Do you want other instruments played along and all?
Yeah, but not cartels. Any other instrument, but not cartels. Drums are fine.
Krishna Pristaya Uttalai Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Samaniti Navinay Krishna Padaya Krishna Pristaya Uttalai Bhakti Vedanta Samaniti Navinay So, one other song before we speak a little bit, because tomorrow, for those of you who don't know, tomorrow is Lord Nrsingadev's appearance. So I thought we'd chant the prayers of Lord Nrsingadev and then maybe speak a little bit about Lord Nrsingadev, if that's all right. Melody's a little bit different, so try to follow. Namaste, Namaste, Srimad Maharaj ki jai, jai Om Vishnu Pad, Paramahansa, Acharya, Sateta, Satashi, Srimad, His Divine Grace Sabaya, Chalana, the Bhaktivedanta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada,
Jai.
ISKCON founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, Jai. Ananda Koti, Vaishnava, Vrinda Jai. Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur, Jai. Friends, say Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Garadha. Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Gijaya Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Sai Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Gijaya Vrindavanam Gijaya Machuram Gijaya Jagdasami Gijaya Yamunamaya Gijaya Shimati Vilasam Gijaya Sabhaveda Bhakta Vrinda Gijaya Gaur Premalanda Hari Hari Bol, all glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious the assembled devotees, all glorious the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, Om Gana Timananda Shah, Shalakaya Chakur Vidikan Yena Tosmai, Shri Guruvaya Namaha. So I thought it appropriate to speak a few words about or Narasimha today. Is everybody familiar with the story here? Raise your hand if you don't know the story or you don't know about Lord Narasimha. Oh, is everybody here? One person. Okay, so I guess for one person, we'll tell the whole story real quick. Very quickly, just a summary story, and then we'll talk a little bit about why we worship Lord Narasimha. So, once upon a time, let me just backtrack a little bit. You know, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he has many different expansions. In fact, there's so many different avatars that it's described like waves of the ocean. It's unlimited. The word avatara means to cross down. So Krishna is up there, if you could say up there. You know, generally you can picture the demigods are up there. And Krishna's up there. Krishna's further up there. And so Krishna crosses down, but he never really becomes one of us. He acts sometimes like he's one of us, like in the case of Lord Ramachandra feeling separation from Sita Devi, like that. Sometimes he acts like that, but he's never really one of us. Ajoti Sanavyatman Bhuttanam Ishram Ishram Pratmishram Adishtaya Sambhavanaya Mamaya. He comes down in a spiritual body. And in that spiritual form, which is non-different from him, see, our bodies are different from ourselves, but Krishna is his body, and we are not our bodies. So in that form, in that manifestation, he shows himself differently each time he comes down. Just like a dramatic actor comes down, or doesn't come down, he's always down, but actors are always down. So anyway, so an actor plays different parts in different dramas or movies like that. Just like one of my favorite Bollywood actors, Akshay Kumar. You ladies like him. I gave him a Bhagavad-Gita, and he really appreciated putting it on Facebook. So, anyway, so he has different roles in different movies, but you always can see, you know, it's the same person, but he's acting in a different capacity. In the same way, there's one great devotee who prays, his name is Jayadev Goswami, Keshwadrita Narahari Rupa Keshwadrita Shukara Rupa, which means, Krishna, you've taken these different roles. You've taken a role of half man, half lion, you've taken a role of a fish, you've taken a role of a tortoise, you've taken the role of Lord Rama, you've taken the role of Balaram. So, but it's always the same person. When we're talking about avatars, it's not that there are many gods. There is one God with a capital G. Of course, there may be many gods with a small g. Those are demigods. Just like you have one prime minister. Of course, in America, you don't have prime minister. But in other countries, you have a prime minister, and there's many ministers. You understand? Same thing as G, small g and big G. So whenever Krishna comes down, he may appear in different ways. And the interesting thing about Krishna is that he can do it all simultaneously. In other words, he can have unlimited ways that he appears, and it can be all done simultaneously, and sometimes even in the same location. Like there's one pastime I can think of is Krishna and Balaram. Krishna and Balaram are the same person, but appearing in different roles, and sometimes they even appear to have a disagreement between each other. But this is a dramatic performance. And there's one verse in the Brahma Samhita that says, Advaita Chuta Nadi Ranata Rupamadhyam Param Purusham Navyoganam Cha Vedaishu Durlabha Madurlabha Atmavadno Govinamani Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. There is one God, but he has unlimited manifestations. He's always the same. We can only be in one place at one time. And sometimes we're not even able to do that if we're a little spaced out. So you can't really multitask too well. As a psychologist, you would know that multitasking, it means basically you're just time dividing yourself, right? Like I've experienced that before. When my mother was alive, I would talk to her on the phone and I would try to type at the same time. And she would say, why is that long pause between every time you talk to me? You're doing something else. So, but Krishna can do unlimited things simultaneously, either in the same location or in infinite different locations. So this is the mystery of avatars. So, Krishna has these avatars, and we may ask, what is the reason for Krishna coming down if he's in the spiritual world? And in the spiritual world, he has all these different personalities called Lakshmis, Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrahma Sigamanam, which means he has all these unlimited servants, and Krishna gets whatever he wants in the spiritual world. And so why would Krishna want to come down here to this world, you know, when he can enjoy up there? And of course, one answer is described in the Bhagavad-Gita, which is Pritranaya Saranam Vinishaya Chadushkritam, which Krishna comes down to get rid of the bad guys and establish religious principles and protect his devotees, out of compassion, of course. And another reason, well, that's sometimes called an exoteric reason. Another reason that Krishna comes down, which is perhaps more important, the esoteric reason, is that Krishna comes down to enjoy in the material world. So you may say, why does Krishna come down to the material world when in the spiritual world he has everything? You know, he has all these Lakshmis. Lakshmis means goddess of fortune. He has Surabhi cows that can provide any type of substance, you know, food that someone wants. Like if you have a Surabhi cow, you can ask for ice cream or pizza or lasagna or whatever. It's not my diet right now. So why is Krishna, how can Krishna enjoy in this world? Because this world is a world of Dukkhalayam Shashvatam. This world is a world of temporary nature and suffering and everything like that. So how can we say that Krishna comes down to enjoy? We can understand why Krishna would come down to save us, and to show his transcendental nature so we can get attracted to him. But why would Krishna come down for his own personal enjoyment? And the answer to that is very interesting. It's called the rasa theology. Ras means there's different tastes for different relationships or different things we do. Like a typical example of ras would be there's a taste of different types of food, right? Like there's a salty taste, a sweet taste, a bitter taste, all different tastes. And we'd like to have a variety of these tastes in order to enjoy. Like if we have food that's tasteless, we're not very happy. Like Srila Prabhupada one time was given tasteless food, actually. He was not feeling that well, so he was given like boiled vegetables without any spices or anything on them. And just for his health, the devotees really wanted to help Prabhupada regain his health at that time. So Prabhupada took it one time and then he said, let the starvation committee go to hell. Yeah. better to die eating tasty food. Of course, Prabhupada didn't mean that literally, that one should be ready to die just because of eating tasty food. But and Prabhupada said, variety is the mother of enjoyment. So we need some variety and different tastes in this world. I mean, if I just gave you one type of food all the time, I don't think you would digest it too well after some time. You know, it becomes a little dry. So we need variety. So in Krishna's activities, there's these different rasas. And we're not just talking about the taste, we're eating the different tastes of food. We're talking about the taste of relationships. Because this sort of taste is, it's just very attractive to the Supreme Personality of God. So in the spiritual world, there's basically, you have the basic 5 tastes of relationships. You may be familiar with this, which is the Shantaras, Dasharas, Sakyaras, Vatsalyaras, Paturaras, which is one is a peaceful worshiper of God. One is the servant of God. One is the friend of God. One is the parent of God. And the other one is the lover, the conjugal lover of God. So in the spiritual world, there's these 5 basic relationships. And there's 7 indirect relationships, indirect rasas, some of which are manifest in the spiritual world, and some of which are not. One example of one of the indirect rasas, or I'm using the word rasa to indicate relationship, but it's not really the same, or taste of a relationship, would be humor. Krishna is certainly very humorous in the spiritual world. Very, very humorous. And if you're interested in hearing about Krishna's humor in the spiritual world, one of the books of the Goswamis, the Vidagdha Madhava, is very, 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 very interesting because it deals a lot with Krishna's humor, especially Krishna's humorous Brahmin friend Madhu Mandal. So you have humor in the spiritual world and some other things, but there's others of the indirect rasas that are not really manifest in the spiritual world. Such as one of them is, I know this sounds shocking, is ghastliness. You know, ghastliness. Whatever. Like you have blood and everything all over the place. And anger to the fullest extent. So Krishna likes to enjoy all the same types of ras that we like to enjoy. For example, why does someone watch a football game? Where's America? Yeah, you have football here. Football, of course, I was just overseas, that means soccer or rugby when I'm overseas. So you have football, and when you watch these football games, even if you're not one of the players, you actually feel this great sense of anger sometimes. Don't you? I mean, or you watch it. What do they watch in India usually? Not football.
Cricket.
Cricket? You get angry with cricket? No.
Yeah, of course.
Really? It's hard to imagine. It seems like so sedate. So peaceful, a cricket game.
No?
Anyway, I've never gotten into cricket. Even with baseball, it was just like too peaceful a game for me. So people like to enjoy. I mean, sometimes I'm in the airport and the waiting room, and there's people are watching on the screen the football game or something like that, and they're just going, they become like gorillas. Kill them, and they start groaning and grunting like gorillas. So, we like to enjoy it. And the reason we like to enjoy those things is because all the same feelings are present in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why would we're chips off the old block, or as Krishna says in the Gita, Mami Bhansa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Namasakstani Indriyani Prakritistani Kashti. We're actually chips off the old block, literally. We're part and parcel of Krishna. And so whatever feelings we have, of course our feelings are usually perverted because they're in contact with matter. But Krishna's feelings are not perverted, they're not in contact with matter. They're just pure spiritual feelings and desires. Krishna has desires, Krishna has feelings, Krishna has relationships. He's a person. And this world is a reflection of the spiritual world, as we are reflections, in one sense, of Krishna. And we're like tiny particles, and Krishna is the great particle, not just part of the great person. So, because of that, Krishna has these desires. He really wants to have a good fight sometimes. Just like when we were young, sometimes we'd like to have a fight with our friends. I don't know if you ever did that when you were young. Anyone here ever fight with their friends? Not anymore. Nowadays it would be too dangerous. Have a fight. So Krishna likes to have a fight. And sometimes, in general, he likes to fight with his friends. Krishna doesn't really like that much to fight directly with those who are like too inimical. But with his friends, he especially likes to fight with his friends. So this is a story, the story of Lord Nrsimhadev is the story of Krishna fighting with his friends. And so, in order for Krishna to fight seriously with his friends, as I mentioned before, there's no serious fights in the spiritual world. There's no blood, no killing, nothing like that. It's not serious. You can be a little wrestling or something like that, but nothing serious in the spiritual world. Just like if you were in a Hare Krishna temple and you saw a devotee, or hopefully you didn't, but anyway, let's say you saw someone you want to have a fight with, what would you tell them? Anyone know? No one knows. So let's step outside.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, you're in the temple room in front of the deities, and you're just with us. And you control your anger. Said, Prabhu, can I speak to you outside for a second? I was in one country years ago, and I was the GBC there. We were having an Istigosni in front of the deities, and it got really heated, and the devotees went outside. Anyway, I won't tell you what they did. Nobody died, but it was pretty intense. So, in the same way, Krishna sometimes says to his devotees, let's step outside and have a good fight. So, Krishna may not say that directly, verbatim, let's step outside, but in the case of Hiranyakashipu, and the whole story of Hiranyakashipu and Lord Nrsimhadev, Krishna did that so that his devotees would step outside. And the way he did it was quite interesting. Once upon a time, there were these 4 little boys. They're called the Kumaras, and they're great, great personalities. And they had the ability to travel to anywhere they wanted to travel, even to the gateway of the spiritual world. They weren't actually devotees. They were like what we call Brahmavadis. All they knew was the energy of the Lord, and they didn't know that God had a personality. They weren't against it, but they didn't know that God had a personality. So basically, they traveled to the gateway of the spiritual world, like, I guess, if you're Christians, where St. Peter is. In this case, it was not St. Peter. It was Jai and Vijay, there's 2 guardians who make sure that nobody who is not authorized, someone who is not authorized, is not allowed in the spiritual world. So these 2 guardians stopped these 4 little boys, and they were innocent little boys. I mean, they basically didn't have any clothes on. They were just very innocent. And they were great sages, great yogis, and everything like that. So they stopped at the gateway of Vaikuntha, of the spiritual world, and they were told, you can't come in. And they got really angry. And they said, this sort of mentality that you 2 are exhibiting, the gatekeepers are exhibiting, doesn't belong in this in the spiritual realm. It's part of the material world, so you belong in the material world. You should go to the material world. They're sort of cursing them. And at the same time, then Krishna comes out in this form of Vishnu, or Narayan. And he said, what's the trouble? What's happening? And he finds out what's happening. And he says, basically, because you've been cursed, you can come down to the material world, and you have to come down to the material world, and you have to take 3 births as demons. Because Krishna wants them to come down to have a fight with him, or 7 births as devotees. So they have a choice, of course. They choose to come down as demons because they want to come back to the spiritual world as soon as possible. So, all right, so they come down as all these different demons, and I'll just mention the demons they came down as. That's Hiranyaraksha and Hiranyakashipu. And Hiranyakashipu's disappearance day we're celebrating tomorrow. Disappearance day. It's Lord Nrsimhadev's appearance day, and it's Hiranyakashipu's disappearance day. I guess we should chant the prayers of the departed Vaishnavas or something tomorrow. So, oops, thing went offline. It's all right. You're still broadcasting on yours, right? Okay. In case mine can't reconnect. So, so there's Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyakashipu's younger brother, Hiranyaksha. And they're two of these personalities who were incarnations of Jai and Vijay, the guardians of the spiritual world. And then there's two others which we won't talk about today, but I'll just mention their names. Ravana and Kumbhakarna. And two others are Shishupal and Dantavakra. So the one we're interested in today is Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu means someone who is simply interested in a very soft life and gold and opulence like that. And so the way he appeared, the neighbors are restless upstairs. The way he appeared is very interesting because this shows us the importance of having parents having the proper consciousness at the time of conception so they'll have the right type of children. So the way he appeared is he appeared from two people on the heavenly planets, Kashyapa and Diti. Kashyapa is the man, Diti is the lady. And they, to make a long story short, it was they were married, but the whole consciousness was one of lust. And because their consciousness was absorbed in lust at the time of conception, and they had the conception at an inauspicious time, it was predicted that there would be demons being born. And so the first demon, there was Hiranyakashipu, who was killed by another incarnation of Krishna known as Varahadev. And so Hiranyakashipu was so upset that his brother was killed that he decided to dedicate himself to killing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So his whole life was dedicated to killing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Well, in order to do that, he wanted to stop the devotees and what's called brahmanas from performing sacrifices, which he did on the earth planet with all of his associates. And so he was very, very powerful, and he wanted to become more powerful. And in order to become more powerful to challenge the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he decided to perform austerities. And he decided to perform austerities. One of the austerities he performed was to stand on his tiptoes for like 100 or 1,000 celestial years until Lord Brahma is one of the demigods in the universe. Lord Brahma appeared and said, you can have whatever benediction you want. And he said, I want the benediction of being immortal. And so Lord Brahma said, I can't give you that one. But you can basically choose how you would die or how you would not die. And so he thought, I'll be very, very tricky. And I'll say, well, I will not die on the land or the sea, or I will not die in the day or the night, or inside or outside, or with any weapon. And so he thought, I have everything covered, so I can't die. So he became very, very powerful and basically took over everything in the universe, was torturing everybody. But while he was performing austerities, this is a very important point, before he got his benediction from Lord Brahma, his wife, who was pregnant, was given shelter by a great personality named Narada Muni. And Narada Muni took her to his ashram, and this ashram is actually at Govardhan, right near Govardhan. It's a place called Narada Kund. I don't know if anyone's ever been there. Has anyone been to Govardhan here? Anyone been to Narada Kund? No? You've been there with me, right? We took you there. So that's where Kayadu, Hiranyakashipu's wife, was taken by Narada Muni to give her shelter while her husband was performing austerities, so the demigods wouldn't hurt him, because he was going to be born. He was in the womb of his mother, and he was going to be born, and the demigods had this whole idea that he was going to be a greater demon than his father, and they were going to kill him when he came out of his mother's womb. So, anyway, to make a long story short, Narada Muni gave her instructions in Krishna consciousness, and the child within the womb was able to hear transcendental sound vibration. He became imbued with pure Krishna consciousness by the mercy of Narada Muni. That is a very important lesson for us, that the process of hearing is the most important process of the 9 processes of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, etc., and Navabhakti processes. Because simply by hearing Shushu Shro Shradanasha Vasudeva Gata Ruchi Shanmahat Sevya Vipra Punya Tirtana Shemana, one can actually be completely self-realized by hearing properly from the proper person. By hearing about Krishna from the proper person in their cyclic succession, one can actually become completely Krishna conscious. So he became completely Krishna conscious while in the womb of his mother. Pretty amazing story. That also indicates that we should, as far as possible, be hearing Krishna Katha throughout the day. Because whatever we hear, Bhavanti Ritkarna Rasayana Katha, Bhavanti Ritkarna, it's described in the Srimad Bhagavad-Gita in the 3rd canto, that there is a channel between our ear and our heart. So what that means is if we hear something that is mundane, let's say you may be listening to some mundane music or something like that, then simply our heart is affected by the modes of nature that are connected with that particular sound vibration. Kardam guna sangasha sarasa janma jonishu. And then our hearts become contaminated. And if we hear, not just listen, but hear transcendental sound, then Bhavanti Ritkarna Rasayana Gatacha Joshana Dashu Apavarga Vartmani Shradavratya Bhakti Nukrameshati, our bhakti develops very, very quickly. We get faith, Shradavratya, taste, bhakti, and ultimately Krishna prema. So everything's based upon hearing. And I'll tell you a story about my own experience with hearing, is that I was just an ordinary materialist at one point. And I had no idea what Krishna consciousness was. But one day, in my endeavor to enjoy myself, I turned on the radio. And when I turned on the radio, this was, I think, 1968 or 69 or something, then I heard Srila Prabhupada chanting. I had no intention of listening to Srila Prabhupada, or I didn't know who Srila Prabhupada was at that point. But I heard Srila Prabhupada chanting. They were playing it on some radio station in New York, the Happening album, whatever album it was in the beginning. And then immediately my life changed. Immediately at that point, I would say that I became stunned. I didn't know who was chanting. I didn't know what he was chanting. I didn't know the purpose of it. All I knew was this, oh my God, what's happening? And I stayed up all night to record it in case they played it again, which they did play it again on this radio station. And from that point forward, I can't say I became a devotee, that would be rather presumptuous. But from that point forward, I decided to be Krishna conscious. You know, that's pretty interesting. Just from hearing, just the sound vibration. That's why devotees, they go out in the Harinam sometimes. And when they go out in the Harinam, then even people who don't know what's happening, they'll try to imitate them sometimes and chant along with them. And they don't understand by doing that they can become devotees. They don't understand. Like, Prabhupada would sometimes compare like the book distribution or the chanting to be like the poison that enters, poison that enters the poison that poisons their material life. So, anyway, so Prahlad Maharaj, he's listening, hearing. Eventually, Hiranyakashipu stops his austerity. His wife goes back to him. Prahlad Maharaj goes back at the same time to be with his father. And Prahlad Maharaj, because he's a devotee at that time, his mentality is completely opposite of his father's. So basically, at one point, he's also going to school. The school's being controlled by some nice demons, Sunda and Amarka, who were the sons of Shukracharya. And so eventually, his father asks, what's the best thing you learned in school? And he tells his father, the best thing is to hear and chant about Vishnu. And here's the enemy. Vishnu is the enemy of Hiranyakashipu, because Hiranyakashipu's brother was killed by Vishnu. Whoops. Oh, it's already 8 o'clock. I'm going on too long. Anyway, I hadn't planned on telling the little story, but because there was someone here who didn't know the story. So anyway, and he tells his father, because you're so attached, you should just renounce everything and take sannyas, basically. His father gets him angry, and I just tell the story very quickly. The father gets him angry, sends him back to school. The teachers threaten him. Prahlad turns all of his students into devotees, and the teachers go for what Prabhupada calls the tiffin hour, which is interesting. Tiffin, for those of you from India know what tiffin hour is. That means lunch break. Lunch break in American English. So he actually gets all of his students to chant Hare Krishna. Father gets really, really angry with him, tries to kill him in different ways. This is also another lesson we can learn from this, is that when one commits offenses against Vaishnavas, one's life is finished, even though one may be as powerful as Hiranyakashipu, in charge of the whole universe. So his father tries to kill him in various ways, throwing him off a cliff, feeding him poison, putting him in a pit of vipers, put him in fire in so many different ways. But each and every time, Prahlad Maharaj is saved by the Lord. Krishna doesn't allow him to be injured at all. So finally, to make a long story short, his father asks him, where do you get your power from? And he says, I get my power from the same place you do, Dad. Vishnu. And his father says, where is your Vishnu? He's so powerful. And Prahlad Maharaj says, Sarvatra, he's everywhere. And we do know this, that God is everywhere, and at the same time, he's in the spiritual world. So he's everywhere. And Hiranyakashipu, his father, asks, if he's everywhere, is he in this pillar? And Prahlad Maharaj said, yeah, he's in this pillar too. And then Hiranyakashipu goes and says, if I can kill this pillar or break the pillar, I must be breaking God. So he goes to the pillar and tries to smash the pillar, and from this pillar comes this half-man, half-lion incarnation of Krishna, comes and basically has an interesting fight, not just kills Hiranyakashipu, but has a fight with him just like a cat plays with a mouse. Or, I don't know if you've ever had a cat before or seen a cat. Sometimes they play with their prey. And he enjoys, like we're talking about the different rusts that the Lord enjoys. He enjoys playing with the person he's going to kill. Like the cat. Where does the cat get its enjoying propensity from? It's the same place we get our enjoying propensities from. I'm not saying that we should do this. I'm not saying that we should kill people or play with them before we kill them. That's not the point. The point is that Krishna has all these different propensities that are within anyone and everyone within this material world, because he's the source of everything. Aham sarvasya bhagavatam sarvam pravartate. And we should appreciate this. And the interesting thing is, if we hear about Krishna doing these things, we lose our own ability to be violent in this world. Just like it's described about Krishna's relationship with the gopis, his romantic affairs, then we lose our desire to be romantic ourselves. You won't have to watch any more Bollywood movies anymore. Just like recently I've been reading Ramayan again. There's a Valmiki Ramayana is so beautiful. And it's actually a love story between Sita and Ram. It's a beautiful love story. But if we read any mundane love story, It just makes us lusty ourselves, isn't it? Because I don't read mundane love stories, Romeo and Juliet or something. But you see it, even the story of Romeo and Juliet is just like a perverted reflection. All these different stories are just perverted reflections of the Supreme Lord's pastimes. So by hearing about these things, you know, by hearing about Krishna or Hiranyakashipu and Lord Nrsimhadev fighting, I lose any desire to go see a football game or a cricket game. That's the proof. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanacharya Haitakam. The proof that you're actually in Krishna consciousness is you get this vairagya. Vairagya means things in this world are not so interesting to you anymore. Not that you're deliberately trying to become detached, but the detachment happens as a byproduct of your being attached to Krishna and just understanding Krishna's pastimes and hearing about these pastimes and hearing about Hiranyakashipu and Lord Nrsimhadev fighting, and Lord Nrsimhadev ultimately does put Hiranyakashipu on his lap, which is neither the inside or outside, and in the doorway, which is also inside or outside, which is neither the sky or the land, and he kills him with his nails, which are not weapons, not living, not dead. Nails are not living, nails are not dead. And so he kills Hiranyakashipu. And so it's such a wonderful story. And then just to glorify Krishna's devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, we see that Prahlad Maharaj is not gloating that his father has been killed, but he prays to Lord Nrsimhadev later on. Let me backtrack a little bit, because Lord Nrsimhadev at this point is really angry, and so nobody could pacify him. So he's pacified by Prahlad Maharaj, his devotee, rather than all these big demigods like Brahma and Shiva and all these Lakshmi and like that. So then Prahlad Maharaj prays for the welfare of his father. Can you imagine that? That's a Vaishnava. That's Vaishnava mood. A Vaishnava, or a devotee of Krishna, is described as someone who is so compassionate. Avancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu yevacha. He's an ocean of mercy, an ocean of compassion. So he's simply interested in his father's welfare and in the welfare of everyone, and he doesn't ask Lord Nrsimhadev for any benediction, even when Lord Nrsimhadev is offering him all sorts of benedictions. So you find a lot of lessons inside the story of Hiranyakashipu being killed, or Hiranyakashipu challenging the Lord, and Lord Nrsimhadev killing Hiranyakashipu. There's lessons to the Lord's rasa, there's lessons of the devotees, compassion, even when someone is trying to kill him. There's lessons of the danger of committing offenses against Vaishnavas. So we should read the story and understand the story in terms of the lessons that we can actually apply in our own, or to our own lives. And by doing that, we can become better persons. And then appreciate the Lord's rasa exchanges with his devotees. It's so beautiful to hear that God is actually a person and he enjoys these things. And then we're meant to give him enjoyment. That's the ultimate goal. We are meant to give God enjoyment rather than God meant to be giving us enjoyment. So, anyway, it's already 8:11. So any questions or comments about...
Yes, you should get up.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
When Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu calls him and he says, sits on his lap and he smells his head and says, "What's the best thing you learned?" I think he does it twice that way. Right?
Yeah.
Then, Prahlad Maharaj goes on and speaks about Krishna consciousness very directly.
Yeah.
Almost kind of indirectly insults his father there.
Yeah.
So it's a little funny because, in Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says, don't explain this to people who are not faithful. So then it's almost like he's taunting taunting his father, but I don't know if that's correct. How would you...
That's actually an interesting question, one that I've never thought of before. But let me think about that one for a second. So let me explain. He asked such an interesting question that Bhagavad-Gita says, one should not disturb the minds of those who are maturely attached, but encourage them to work in the spirit of devotion. You have that injunction. And Prahlad Maharaj, he's telling his father, Dad, take sannyas, you'll never, matir Krishna padato bhato. That even with good association and, good instruction, you'll never achieve anything, so head to the hills, Dad, give it all up. And so, these are definitely fighting words. It's like waving a red flag in front of a bull, isn't it? So, I'm just trying to think as I'm asking myself the same question. I would say that he understands the Lord's intention. That, I wouldn't have any other explanation other than he understands the Lord's intention, and, well, as a Vaishnava, he's also truthful. But, truthful, another verse from the Bhagavad Gita would be, Sacha Priya Hitam. You have to be truthful, but also beneficial and pleasing. So, it seems like he's not following that verse either. Such a Priya Hitam, austerities of the speech. So, the only answer I could come up with is, this is the Lord's pastimes. I'm sorry I couldn't come up with a more esoteric answer to that. That this is the Lord's pastimes, that Krishna is, because Krishna is in the heart of Prahlad Maharaj, and he's having him speak in such a way. And actually sometimes we saw that Prabhupada would speak very heavy sometimes to people too, because he understood that was the best thing for them. Yes, I just referred to that Bhagavad Gita verse, hitam, beneficial. So perhaps he understood that, sometimes the only way to get through to his father is just give him some direct medicine. So even though it wasn't pleasing, he thought, I remember Prabhupada was talking to one professor, and he said to
here in Philadelphia.
oh yeah, so you got a story. Why don't you tell the story?
It's a phase. Yeah, I'll go back a little bit, because we were reading that in a Srila Prabhupada Leela at Night discussion, and how when Prabhupada was in Philadelphia in 1975, Ravindra Swarupa brought a professor. In the Lilamrita, his name was given as Dr. Patel.
Yeah.
But actually, his name was Dr. Yadava.
Yeah.
So he was actually in the family lineage of Krishna.
Yeah.
So he comes in, and Prabhupada asks the professor, he says, so what are you teaching? He says, well, I'm a professor of religion. And so then Prabhupada says, so tell us about religion, tell your understanding of religion. And so the professor says, well, no, I can't say, you should tell me, I can't say what religion is. And so Prabhupada turned to Swarup Damodar and said, what is this, a professor of religion who can't tell you what religion is? And so Swarup Damodar said, that's a cheater, Srila Prabhupada. That's a cheater. And so then there was different people say it differently. There's several different devotees who were there, and they say it different. But in the Lilamrita it says that there was a shouting. Prabhupada shouted at him, and they went back and forth. And then he left. And so a devotee there in the class was really disturbed. He was a new devotee. He said, you invite somebody to your house, and you treat him like that. That's not Vedic. So I said, why don't you call Ravindra Swarup? He was there. He'll know if there's anything more. There's more to the story. So he called him up. And he said he met that same professor. Ravindra met that same professor several months later, and he asked him, how is your guru? He said, your guru saved me.
Really?
Yeah. This you won't find it in a lot of it. Your guru saved me, because he said, I was brought up in this line of Krishna consciousness, but I got involved in intoxication and meat eating and all that stuff. But Prabhupada's words, your guru's words, shocked me back to the real thing. That's what he said.
Wow. So, yeah. So Krishna is speaking through the mouth of the devotees. So sometimes the devotees appear that they may not be following certain injunctions, but that's Krishna's special arrangement. But for those of us, the rest of us, I mean, I personally wouldn't call someone a cheat or a rascal. Because I can't say that Krishna's having me say this. You know, so sometimes people who are not like that much connected to Krishna or a little connected to Krishna will use Krishna as an excuse to be too heavy with people. I've seen that in the movement. That you know, actually when I was a new devotee, I was a brahmachari traveling with a sannyasi, should remain nameless to protect the guilty. So one time he chastised me for something I didn't do. I said, I'm innocent. And he started screaming, you're never innocent because you're walking around with a material body. And it was, to this day, it was so traumatic. It didn't help me in my Krishna consciousness. And he said, Krishna made me speak like that to you. He said that, yeah. Krishna made me speak that. And I said, phew, that's Krishna. So sometimes we think, even my mother did that with me. She didn't use the word Krishna. She would say, God is making me punish you. Yeah, it hurts me more than it hurts you. Yeah, I'm sure some of you from Indian families will understand that. God is making me punish you. But it's, you know, you can't use God as an excuse. But in the case of Prahlad Maharaj, you know, he was a pure devotee. So whatever he did, and it says one cannot imitate, here's another point, one doesn't imitate the great devotees or controllers. We're supposed to follow in their footsteps, not imitate them. Anusal, Anukar. So whatever Prahlad Maharaj did was right, but I am not Prahlad Maharaj, I'm not in that position, and I'm not, whatever Prabhupada did was right. But I don't have that same realization of Prabhupada as Prahlad Maharaj did. Good question. I never had that question before. It's a fantastic question. So thank you. So any other questions or comments? Or problems? Complaints? Problems? I can't do anything about it, but... All right. I guess that's it. You know. Thank you all. Tomorrow's Lord Nrsimha's appearance day, so we can celebrate, you know, this fasting till dusk. And then there's, I'm sure you'll have a havan at the temple.
Yeah, Brahmacharya is the temple president.
Oh, okay. You're going to have a havan at the temple, right? And Srimad Kavacha, you'll chant and everything like that. And when I was in South India, we visited many of the temples of Lord Nrsimhadev, especially at Ahobilam and Sinachalam and Mangalgiri. Anyone's been to any of these places? No? Anyone here from South India? Yeah. 1, 2 people from South India. And they're great devotees of Lord Nrsimhadev in South India. Remember in Holiness there's 9 deities to Lord Nrsimha. There's the peaceful Lord Nrsimha, Shant Nrsimha, Yoga Nrsimha, of course Ugra Nrsimha. Very beautiful temple. So we used to take devotees on tours of South India and visit the Nrsimha temples there. Okay. And then,
Can you tell a little story about the Nrsimhadev in Braj and Govardhan?
Nrsimhadev and Braj?
Yeah,
The one in the tail of
I know.
Govardhan?
Yeah, tail one.
Well, it's not too many stories.
Just brief.
I mean, not too many stories. Like, basically, there's certain deities that were installed 5,000 years ago by Krishna's great-grandson, Brajanava. And these deities are actually, you know, black stone deities. Very, very beautiful deities. Wherever you... they're not all there in Braj. Some of them have been taken to other places in Rajasthan. But there's one deity that's one of the original deities at Govardhan. It's at the tail the pooch, the tail of Govardhan. And this is a beautiful deity of Lord Ugra Nrsingadev. It's about, the deity is about this big. At the tail, it's in a temple. Yeah, temple at the tail, and somehow or other the devotees allow me to worship the deity when they go there. Man, what other stories about it?
Yeah, I remember you were massaging.
Yeah, the devotees allow. Generally, in Braj, the devotees don't let us be visitors on the altar to do the deity worship. But in this temple, they let us go on the altar. Let's go on. So,
Fishing oil.
fishing oil. Thank you. Now I'm saved. Okay. So on that happy note, all glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to His Holiness Bir Krishna Maharaj ki.
Jai.
Actually, since this is Darshan's birthday, and I think we have one more birthday here, right? What's the birthday boy? Lakshmi Nrsinga? Lakshmi Narayan.
Lakshmi Pati.
Okay. So we're going to have a very quick Guru Puja of Maharaj. It's been a long time. We'll do a very short while because already it's been there.
Why?
Why? You don't want to?
It's not necessary.
Listen, I did seek permission of your brother.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
Yeah,
Very quick, we can do
I
it.
think prasadam for everybody is more important.
Not sure.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Karuna,
It's your birthday. What do you want? The Adi is going to sing. What do
you
you
got
want?
the cookies and everything to
You
give.
quick answer, very quick.
Very quick.
Yes or no?
Whatever Maharaj decides.
Well, you want to mark?
It's for his pleasure.
What?
It would be, if it's for your pleasure, if you were to do it. So.
Pleasure. we get a lot of pleasure out of being worshipped.
That's right.
Pratishtha, yeah. Adoration, distinction. No, it's actually for the benefit of other people. Yeah, for my pleasure. My pleasure. I'd just rather have prasad. Anyway.
But you don't think
No, I'm not gonna. I already took prasad.
that's why I didn't do it first Western time. Let's do it.
What you want to do, just do it real quickly, yeah.
Very quickly. You all stand up or?
Joldi.
You bring that.
ನಿಮಗೆ ಆಳೆ ಬೇಡ
Oh, cookies. That makes it worthwhile. There's some benefit.
Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakrati Sana.
ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರು ಚರಣ ಕೇವಲ ಭಗತಿ ಸದಾ ಬಂದ ಮೋರಿ ಸಾವಧಾನ ಮಾತೆ
Good side, boy.
prasade pure
So many people in the middle of the week.
This is Sukada's place. Everybody's close by. We know there's as many of them as close by.
Namaste.
I will chant.
Oh, we did already. You take that table